Okay, welcome to our paddleboard yoga. The first class of 4. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. My cell phone number, I should have sent it to you. I'll make sure you have it next time so that if something goes wrong during the class and you need to get a hold of me really quickly, you can send me a quick text message. And I usually have my phone nearby. If the Wi-Fi or the service pauses or takes a little break, try to hold whatever pose you're in for 5 or 10 breaths each side until it zooms back in. It usually zooms, if it zooms out, it's pretty quick to get back in. So it just gives you an extra opportunity to breathe and be mindful. So today's practice will be starting seated on our board. One day we'll be doing this without on the water, I hope. So we'll be starting seated with our legs out as if we would be, I'm just gonna let someone into the waiting room there. So you're on your board, just gonna let Liz in, yeah. All right, hey Liz, welcome, welcome my friend. Come on in, we're on our boards. Maybe we have paddled out into the water. Our feet are resting out on the side. So you're in a spot where you're comfortable. If you're on one of the Indo boards, you don't have to have pillows underneath. It's very much like the water if the pillows are underneath. If it's your first time with them, maybe you don't have them under today. So we're just kind of getting centered, letting our feet feel the water, let the waves play with our toes, maybe the wind in our hair, and we notice the anchoring down into our sit bones, closing our eyes, and we'll do some mindful breathing, placing one hand on our belly, and perhaps one on your heart if that feels steady enough for you. If you wanted to, you could do crisscross. That really depends on I guess if you're on the water, it might not be too great. So let's move into breathing into the diaphragm. So as we breathe in, I want to keep the chest relaxed and just lift my belly in and out. So inhale, you feel your hand lift, your belly opens up like a big balloon. And exhale, the belly goes down. Inhale, filling up our belly. Exhale, relaxing. So you can have that hand on your belly. Love your belly and all of its softness and amazingness. Breathing in, filling up. Breathing out, letting go. Closing our eyes if that feels okay for you today. Making sure throughout our practice to let go of any judgment today, any competition. Focusing on the air on your skin, the air within the body, and staying present. Wonderful. Let's start our warm up. Let's inhale, reach our arms up. Exhale, bring our hands back down to the board. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, bringing our hands back down. Pressing down into our sit bones and moving slowly. So if you're a regular yogi, you'll notice that we need to move a bit slower, a little more mindful with how we disperse our weight for this practice. And now let's start a twist. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, you'll bring your right hand to your left knee. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bring your opposite hand over to opposite knee. Flowing side to side, all on your own. Finding your breath. Our hips are staying forward towards that short edge of our board, and we're focusing on twisting from above our belly button to keep that lower back nice and safe. One more here. So we inhale, reach up, and now we'll do a little tip over to one side. But the key is to anchor into both of your sit bones so that you wouldn't tip over into the water. Inhale, reach both arms up nice and slow. Exhale over to the other side. And we'll flow side to side. We'll have lots of little visitors today. My chipmunks are hungry for their peanuts. There we go. Hello, Chippy. And then we'll be putting this little warm up all together. So on our next one, we'll inhale, reach both arms up. Exhale, bring them to our sides. Inhale, reach both arms up, and now we'll twist over to one side. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, twisting over to the other side. Inhale, reach up and a tip over. Make sure to anchor into your both sit bones. Back up, breathe in, and then tip over to the other side. Amazing job. We'll bring our hands in front of us and warm up our wrists. So tucking our thumbs in and making some wrist rotations. Going one way. So we're still hanging out on the water. Can't wait till we can actually do that. And then the other way. We definitely will. As soon as we can, I'll have you guys out for real paddleboard yoga. Let's clasp our hands together and do some wrist rotations here. Go one way. And then try the other way. See if that brain will let you do that. Let's walk our hands forward on an exhale. Inhale, walk our hands back up. This time, inhale, reach up. Exhale, sink into your sit bones, reach forward. So just a flowing forward fold. Inhale up, exhale, fold. Last one, we'll be making our way to all fours. So if we were on the water, we want to make sure to press down into both of our hands. Let's sweep one hand. Oh my goodness, I'm not the best at this, the actual paddleboard. Bring one knee in, press down into both hands. We'll come up and make our way to child's pose. So moving nice and slow, and let's flow back into our child's pose. Just find a little bit of breath here. Opening up into our lower back. You can let your head be heavy. If you've got your pillows on the board, it's a little more unsteady, and that's a little more like real paddleboard yoga. So you have to move slow. Let's come up to all fours. Take an inhale, come up, pressing into both of our hands. So we want to bring our hands underneath our shoulders, disperse the weight into our fingers, and some space between our knees. Moving through cat and cow. Let's tuck our tailbone, press into our feet and our hands, pressing the board away, and then opening up into cow. You can just look at the end of your board and then tuck back into cat pose. Let's flow on our own. Make sure to breathe. Oh, hi, Chippy. Couple more. Love it. All right, meet in our regular tabletop. So nice neutral spine. We'll take our right arm forward, just tap it on the mat in front of you, and your left foot back. So anchor through still those 4 points, and then bring it back slowly in. Other side. So we reach and bring it in. So this is spinal balance on our paddleboard, nice and slow. If you're feeling steady enough, then you start to bring up the foot, flowing side to side, but think of pressing in that hand in the opposite foot. And before you take the weight off of the other hand, you want to make sure you're anchored through. A few more times, inhaling, reaching and extending. Exhale, nice and slow, back to all fours before you reach the other hand out. One more time. And we'll take it back to child's pose again. Reaching our hands long. Maybe you need to be right in the middle of your board. Whatever feels good. Let's take a look up at the end of our board and float into a kneeling plank. Adjust your weight as you need to. And slowly bend the elbows. We're not going to go right to our bellies just yet. Back up and to child's pose. Let's bring it forward. Inhale. Exhale, little dip in the elbows. Bring it up and back. Lots of space in that lower back. One more time. Inhale forward. This time all the way to your belly if it feels okay. We've got our toes on the mat. And we'll open up into cobra. So try not to press so much into your mat. Think about using your lower back to lift you up. So we're anchoring through our hips, the front of our hips down into the mat. And release. Let's do it a few more times. Inhale, lift up using your lower back. Making a connection with our feet down on the floor or the board as well. Back down. One more time. Nice strong cobra. Holy mackerel, it is hot. Down onto the board. Let's press into our hands as well as our knees to lift back up and to child's pose. Exhale. Amazing. All right. So let's get on with a little bit of work now. Maybe it might feel like work already. That's okay. You're not alone. All right, let's look up between our hands and we'll shift our weight to all fours and then to downward facing dog. Now, if downward facing dog is not feeling great for you today, then just all fours or child's pose. You can play around with pedaling your feet like I would do in a normal class, but if that doesn't feel nice, you're just reaching your heels towards the mat. Don't worry about your heels having to touch the mat or anything like that. We want to maintain a bend in our knees and let our head be here between our biceps somewhere right now, nice and strong. Amazing job. We're holding here. You can imagine how amazing this would be if you're on the water. From our downward dog, making sure we've got a nice strong anchoring through, we'll reach our right hand back for our left calf, looking underneath our armpit. Make sure to breathe. We're holding our poses a little longer than normal today. Let's look up between the hands again. Place that hand right back so that we've got space between it. And we'll be bringing that foot that we touched, that foot's going to come up, slide it up into warrior one. So we want to bring it more towards the center of our mat. If there was a line down your mat, and then the back heel will go down, and that heel would be on that center line as well, as we'll rise up into our warrior one, rising up, nice and slow. We've got our chest facing the short edge or the pointy edge of our board. We're relaxing our shoulders and making sure to breathe. We'll bring our hands to our heart and our little flow here, straightening our leg, reaching our arms up, bending our leg, bringing our hands to heart. So as you move through this little vinyasa or flow with the breath, we're always making sure we're still pressing back into that back foot as well, so that you don't want to have all your weight on your front foot because you might go forward on your board. One more time. We'll hold in our warrior one, hands at heart, or if it feels okay for your back, you'll bring your hands up. Breathe. Framing our front foot, we'll lift our back heel up, but still have some weight pressing back into the back of our board. Drop that back knee down onto the mat, top of the foot onto the mat, and moving slowly, rising up into a kneeling lunge. And we're shifting our hips forward so that we're stretching out that hip flexor. Breathe, holding here. Now, whichever knee you have forward, you can bring the same side hand down onto that knee, and the opposite hand will either stay up or you'll reach it back for your back heel. Now, I can't quite reach my heel. That's okay. There's no judgment in yoga. If you can reach it, fantastic. Come here, Chippy. Running out of peanuts. So maybe you just reach back for your calf, or you're reaching up, or that hand is down on the knee. Wonderful. We'll frame our front foot and take it back to child's pose or downward facing dog. My little chipmunk ran out of peanut. Just got to reload that for him. You guys are hanging out in child's pose or down dog. Make sure you're breathing. Wonderful. So let's flow back up to downward dog. We inhale to all fours. Exhale to downward facing dog. So remembering that foot that we reached back for, that foot will now lift up into three-legged dog. So one thing to mention here is sometimes when you're on the water, you may want to bring that opposite foot to the center of your board before you lift up the other foot. So our hips are facing the mat. We're in three-legged dog, and now we'll bend that knee for tail of the dog, pressing into both of our hands and our feet. Looking up between our hands, take your time. We'll do a little flow for the core. As we move into a three-legged plank, we can draw this knee that's up in the air towards our nose. Bring it in, draw it towards our nose, moving slowly, holding here. You can put your toe down if you want to, then push it back to your three-legged dog with an extended leg. Wonderful. Placing that foot down on the mat. And now we'll be reaching for the other calf this time for our warrior flow on the other side. So reach across for your calf, or if you're on all fours, you're just reaching across for your knee. And please feel free to shoot me some feedback afterward, how the sound quality is and things like that. I'd love to hear from you. All right, so here we are in our little kind of twisted up dog here, twisty dog. Then we'll bring our hand up. And now that foot that we were reaching for is slowly going to come up between the hands. Place it in the center of our board. Our back heel will go down onto the center of our board. We'll make sure we're anchoring into both of our feet. Notice the core and slowly breathe in, come up into warrior one. And you might be on the other side. If you're on the same side, then just switch up your feet. Breathe. Closing our eyes. Our hands can be up. If you're looking for a little more balance, our hands would go out. If we're taking care of our back, our hands would come to our heart. Pressing into both of our feet, all 10 toes and both heels. There's a bend in our front knee.